Okay, here we go, everybody. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. Let me know I have a little bit of a different setup. So before I remove the overlay, I'd like to know if you can hear me okay. So let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. That would be great. And then we will get started. So there we go, everybody. I think I am up. I just wanted to double check the sound. So let me know one more time if you can hear me okay. Great. All righty. Then I think we are ready for Free Tip Friday, the at-home edition here. And here I am. Let me solo this one so you can just see me. For the moment, hello everyone. I am broadcasting to you right from my dining table here at Shea Richburg Dosher. And I know that everybody, since I'm at home, the first thing that we're going to have to do is have a special guest. Now, to my right here, I'll turn it a little bit. You can see my camera set up and stuff. You can see right behind me, this is an ironing board. And we have to keep the ironing board up almost 24/7 because the prince of the household doesn't want to sit anywhere else. So let me bring in, and sorry about the sun, you guys, it's right at the perfect uh, angle here. If you look, it's like I'm bringing him in on a litter. It's hard to see him, but here he is, the star of the show. I know, come on, Alfred. I know you guys have wanted to see him, so let me get him, and he can say hello to everyone. Alfred, look, everyone's here. Everyone is so glad to see you. I know Alfred is huge. Oh gosh, he's he's gigantic. He's the biggest boy ever. But those of you who have been watching our videos for a long time know that Alfred now is almost, there he is. He's going to be 3 this year, I think. And if you'll remember when he was the tiniest kitten, you remember when you were the tiniest kitten? Do you remember? I'll put him back on his beloved ironing board. Ah, there you go, Alfred. So he'll be here making sure that we're doing everything right. So I'll just move him right over here. So you get a dose of Alfred today. Yeah, he's a big. Now I have to rest because he was so heavy. So he'll just be right here. So I thought that you guys would be good. So some of you may be wondering why I'm broadcasting from home. Everything is fine, don't you worry. But I'm doing that because this afternoon, you guys, I'm going to be broadcasting 2 broadcasts today. 2. We are going to do, we are really fortunate to be a part of the Bead Designer Challenge, and I'm going to be doing that at the office. So we reversed our schedules this morning. So the fulfillment team is in this morning doing their thing, and then this afternoon we're going in. Chris and I are going in actually pretty quickly. So the Bead Designer Challenge is going to be really great. Let me tell you a little bit about it before we get started. with what we're doing today. It's today, the 29th of January. I have no idea where January went. And you can find it in a few places. It's 7 p.m. Eastern time, you guys, right? So that means it is 4 o'clock Pacific time. So I'll be coming back on to you at 4 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to share it right on our bead shop page, everywhere you're watching except for YouTube, but in our bead shop group, on our bead shop page, all of that kind of thing, it's going to be there. So we're going to share that out. You can also find and like the Beadalon Facebook page, and you can follow it from there as well. So it's really exciting. So what happens is they do this every year. They do it in Tucson. Sometimes they do it at Bead and Button or different bead shows. But the Tucson Designer Challenge has always been the big one. So 26 designers, retailers, and influencers. I like to think that I'm all three of those. I don't know. We're going to gather virtually to test our jewelry making skills to design a creation in less than an hour using supplies unseen until we box it. So you can join the action, as I said, on Facebook Live to see the creative process. And then later, you're going to vote for your favorite to determine a winner. And if I know who you're going to vote for, right? 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 So today, starting at 4 p.m. Pacific and 7 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be a part of the Beadalon Design Challenge. All 24 designers, 24 or 25, we're going to be on Zoom. And so it's going to be, who knows how it's going to be, but it's going to be a wild and crazy ride. I got the mystery box, and it's still, it's two mystery boxes a week this week. It's great. But we're trying to kind of bring that virtual Tucson experience right to you guys. So I'm really excited about it. We'll see. Um, we'll see how all that plays out. Let's see if my design skills are up to the challenge. But we'll see. I've got an hour to make something out of the box. And there's great sponsors. We'll talk a little bit about the sponsors and everything on the broadcast, but it's going to be great. So yes, it's 6 p.m. Central. Thanks, you guys, for throwing in the Central Time. We're still, oh, perfect, Alfred. Thank you so much for laying right on my project. That's great. Why don't you get back here on your, get back on your ironing board. Do cats ever listen? Do they ever listen to you? They never listen to me. Someone asked how much he weighed. Hang on, let me get him off my project here. I have no idea. Okay, there he goes. Never mind. He's going to sit behind the computer. Perfect. I have no idea how much he weighs. 17 pounds? 18 pounds? I don't know. Heavy. That guy is heavy, is what he is. We also haven't chosen, thank you, Alfred. We have not pulled the random winners for the design challenge yet. He's going to pull down these curtains. But we'll let everybody know. Okay? So don't you worry about that. Okay, here he comes. What did W.C. Fields say? Never share your stage with children or animals. Well, Fields was right. There he is. He's back on his. He's back on his. I've got all three of them down here on the floor. He's back on his ironing board. There we go. It's hard to see him but there he is. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Let's get this show on the road, shall we? Let's try. Let's try this. This is why I don't broadcast from home, kids. This is why. All right, so I know you're ready to bring this, or at least further along this bead embroidery piece that I did a while ago. And I'm going to just center this camera. You can see this is how I do it. Even when we're at the office, I broadcast here with my phone, and I have this great arm to do it with, which is good. So let's see, there's going to be a little bit of funny light on there, but I think you guys will be okay. All right, so let me switch this up. Okay, here we are. I wanted to show you a couple of things before we get, you guys remember this bead embroidery, right? And I'll go over the materials and stuff. But I wanted to give you a resource. And I got this book from my mom, I think. I know you're watching, so you can remind me if I got it from you or where I got it. But I have a vast library of beading books, and I found this one in it. Okay, and this one, it's called Bead and Sequin Embroidery Stitches. I think it is a book of British origin by Mr. Stanley Levy, and it's Guild of Master Craftsmen Publications, and yeah, it is. It was in Lewes, East Sussex, and it was originally published in 2004. So if you look this up, I am sure you can find it. But it gave me a lot of inspiration, and I'm going to do another bead embroidery broadcast, I think, because there's so much. I want to share with you a couple of ideas out of this. Let me see. Let me get to where I want to go. Though you can, maybe the samples here. Though you can, Emily has the fantastic handout that we did with this that has kind of the basics stitches, right? And yeah, my mom did give me this one, so that's good to know. And so I just want to thumb through some of these. I know I'm sorry about the reflection of the light from my window, but hopefully it won't be too bad. But this is just that simple back stitch with beads that Emily taught us, right? And that's kind of a fish scale design. And then you can see there's that same back stitch, but there's a flower design there. It was really, I just loved it. Here's the filling in stitches, and I wanted to show you these that had the sequins in them, right? And the sequins, essentially, that stitch, and can you see here, just by this illustration, how the sequin, the needle comes up from behind the sequin, and then down next to the sequin, and then I think it comes right over to the next sequin, needle up, down on the outside. So it's a really great way to fill in with sequins, which is awesome. And I want to show you a few more, like this zigzag stitch here that has the sequins and stuff in it, right? Geeta just linked Emily's bead embroidery handout, but for those of you who are new to Bead Shop or are watching on one of our other channels that we're broadcasting on, you can go right to beadshop.com and you can go under projects and you'll see bead embroidery there, and you just click on the bead embroidery and you will get you'll find the handout there. Let me get a little closer here to this so you can just see the stitch. This is the sequin right here. And so see, it's just a start and stop stitch with the sequin. You tie your knot, you come up through the sequin, up through the bead, back around the bead, and down. And so you can see how that is how some of this has been filled in here. So I think that it's a great book. I'll show you the cover and stuff again. It may be out of print, but I bet you'll be able to find it on the internet if you're really, really into it. I also really love kind of this lattice stitch right here, which is really cool. And then he talks a little bit about pattern making, but look at how inspirational all of these are, right? So the book is called, and he has some patterns and stuff that you would just embroider on. So it's called Bead and Sequin Embroidery Stitches. It's by Mr. Stanley Levy, right? And on the back here, there's the ISBN number, which is right there. I'll flash it. And as my mom said, she got it to use for adding beads to quilting, but it wasn't quite what she wanted. And Eileen said she just found it on Amazon. Perfect. So I think that this is, it's a great compendium. I've really been working through it. So we'll have some more bead embroidery that will be coming up. Let me put that next to Alfred. So I feel like my little attempts here are not as exciting as Mr. Levy's, but I'll show you this, and you'll see this on the bead embroidery page. And again, I'm sorry about the lighting. I don't have the studio lighting here at home that I do, but we're going to just have to work with it. So sorry about that. But you can see here, and it's still in process, the one that I made for the cuff. I did it on Aida cloth, okay, and I cut out my my ultra suede here, and then I just stitched these motifs on, and you can see on the back, let me turn it over, you can see on the back, you can see some of the stitching and stuff there. And so when I'm ready to back this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this away, cut this out, and I'll probably cut the Aida cloth in maybe about 1/8 of an inch all the way around, not too close to where this stitching is. But then I will back it with another piece of this ultra suede. And we carry, here at Bead Shop, we carry a bunch of the ultra suede in really beautiful colors. So I think you'll find something that's perfect for your project. I also have this older one that has a little bit of cat hair on it. I'm sorry, what a surprise. But you can see I've just done some little motifs, and I do most of mine freehand, right? And I just kind of let them build up from there. And these that are just little practice pieces, I could cut them out and mount them on a brooch or a pin or something like that. And you can see I've used, pardon me, a variety of beads, including these dragon scales like this. I use that mini hoop that's like this. And you can see here, and the materials list is on the website for all of this, but I use our Tiara Cast bead caps, if you can see that, for this center. And I use this open poppy one. And can you see, I let the thread kind of show there. So the thread kind of becomes part of the design. I use that tiny petite petal here, and then I did some scattering there. So what today's broadcast is all about, and you can see I've been working on other things, so I have my big cutting mat. I'm sorry if it's distracting. Let me get actually a piece of paper here so we have a background that's a little less distracting. There we go. We'll put that on there. And so you can see here, this is when I did the first broadcast. I did a little, you know, I'm going to try and move this over to where it's not in the, just bear with me here just a second. I'm going to try and move this over so we don't have that distracting shadow. There we go. I think that's better. I don't want to do it too far over because I've got fabric on the floor right there. Can you see there's a bit of fabric? So I want to keep it. Well, now I wrecked the illusion, but you know, only what's in the camera screen, right? And as Janice mentioned, we are having a great sale on some of the products that I used in this piece. So you'll see that if you go to our sales section right there on Bead Shop. So here we go. So here is the piece that I made in our last broadcast a few months ago, or whenever I did it. And this was just the little sample to show you all how I how I stitched and then how I glued. And you can see that Aida cloth that's there in the center. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue this picot stitch around the side. And piece here, this is our crescent crimp that we have from Bead Shop. This is how I'm going to close the bracelet, but I can also use it to close, to add a bail to this pendant. And I've opened it so it's large enough, so it's actually going to sit just like that, and I'm going to glue it. I'm going to glue it in. Okay, and then we'll connect it there. Once I'm done with this piece, I'm going to send it out to Janice, and she's going to make a creation with it. So let me slide some of the things that I used. Let me show you about this. And Donna, we don't sell the kits, but we sell everything. So you can kind of cherry pick and choose what you like and choose your own. Whoops, my camera thing just came out. Bear with me here. So you can kind of pick and choose. Whoops, you can see too much of my fabric. There we go. You can pick and choose your own colors. Okay, so if you go to Bead Embroidery, let me go right to our website, and I will pull up. I just want to make sure I'm telling you the right place. So if you go under projects and you go under, I think, everything else, pardon me, under projects, you'll see a link for Bead Embroidery. Let me grab that link and let me put it over there for you guys. It's here. Okay, there we go. I think it went in there. There we go. And if you click over to Folk Tales is what I called this one, you'll be able to see all the beads and everything that I've used. But you guys, the cool thing about bead embroidery is that it's so like easy. I mean, all you need, and I think I saw someone comment, oh, it was Crafty I Am. She commented and said, he or she, I'm sorry, I'm assuming you're a she, but you could be a Crafty I Am dude too. It says, perfect use for my leather and wool scraps that you've already purchased. This would look great on wool. It would look great on wool. I love embroidering on wool. Great, Crafty I Am, perfect. So what she said there is that, yeah, perfect use for the leather and wool scraps. So indeed, this is a great stash buster. The ultra suede that I've used, and I don't have the ultra suede here, I just have kind of the scrap here for it. But if you haven't used the ultra suede, I'll kind of show the side here. It's really easy to stitch through. It's a faux suede, not a real suede. And then I backed it on this Aida cloth with my embroidery ring here, my embroidery hoop. You don't have to back it with Aida cloth. You could back it with felt or something else, but I had Aida cloth, so that's what I used. And you can see here, still sitting here on my template, I made this template just out of a piece of paper that I used to cut out this piece. So you can make a little template or however you want it. Debbie, I loved this. I love this story. Debbie says her grandfather, who died before she was born, did embroidery beadwork as a business, and he did a dress for Ethel Merman. But her dad said that her aunt had gotten barrels of beads and then just disposed of them. Well, maybe all those seed beads weren't for her, but I bet they were amazing. Wow, what a cool legacy to have, Miss Merman. That's a cool thing for sure, a cool story. So these beads pretty much have not been touched since the broadcast that I did when I did the original embroidery broadcast. What a surprise. But I want to show you what I used. I used some super duos, and I've kind of been on a super duo kick lately. So the project I'm going to give you a sneak peek of for next week has some super duos. Super duos I think are great for bead embroidery, and you can see I use them right here, right? And you can see I use them kind of as petals. It gives a lot of dimension to your piece, which I like. So Let me move those over there. So, and the color I used was the Halo Magenta. And then I used some other beads that had like some dimension to them. So I used the Baroque Pearl in dark olive, one of my favorites. If you don't know the Baroque Pearl, get familiar. We're getting some more in. We've been selling them in these short tubes, but we're actually transitioning to get them into the long tubes, so you'll have more to work with. And you'll be seeing me use Baroque Pearls. They're Miyuki, they're a Japanese bead. So you'll see me using those more. The O bead, this one is the Peridot Vitrail Matte one. I love an O bead. It's like a he/she bead or a flat, a flat little donut. And you can see some here in this dish. I think they're just delicious. And you can use them either way, on the Peridot side or the Vitrail side, right? They kind of go in and out. And then, of course, I have some tiny, these are the 1.8 millimeter cubes that are just really, again, it's all about dimensionality. So you can see those have dimension there. That's some of those cubes. Next to them are the 8/0 cuts, and we've really been expanding this line for us here at beadshop.com. I find that not a lot of stores, online stores, carry these, and I think that sometimes the cut bead just confuses people maybe, or they're not quite sure how to use it. I have, pardon me, I'm sorry. Let me take a drink of water. I think I'm too close to the cat. Hang on. There we go. That's better. And they're really, I think, going to be fun for peyote stitch. So I'm going to have a peyote stitch planned for these guys coming up. And then just some variety of things. Of course, my beloved shadow beads, which I can't seem to do a project without. And then, again, some of those tiara cast little caps and stuff. And then a few random 11/0. This is the 11-649, the dyed violet alabaster, and of course some dragon scales. And these are the metallic mix dragon scales I've got here. Then I added, this is, I think it's a 3 millimeter fire polish in the polychrome polychrome rose maybe? Polychrome, I'll tell you what it is right here. I've got it sitting right here on my list, I believe, somewhere. Of course, you always think you've memorized everything. A polychrome copper rose is what it is, and it's gorgeous. And the dragon scales look like little dragon scales, and I've used them. What they are, let me show you. It's a diamond-shaped bead. Can you see that? That has a hole at the top. And so they have movement to them, and they stitch down. They also kind of feel like they kind of scratch that sequin itch. You know, if you don't have sequins, dragon scales are kind of cool. They're small. Again, these are check glass, not Japanese, but they're great. And you can see this flower burst that I did here, right in the middle of this. This is all done with the dragon scales here. Okay, so let's get to the Picot. Now, sometimes I have to retrain myself because, honestly, I told myself before I would go on, I would, I'd practice the Picot, but I think I'm good. Okay. At least I think so. Okay, yeah. Let's, you and I will learn together. Okay, so I started this edging stitch because a Picot stitch for the edge is a nice way to give a finish here, especially so we won't see kind of this open side. So we do a Picot, right, to just kind of edge that and make it look finished. So what I did was, the way I started it was I came in and I buried my stitch, and you can kind of see it in there. I buried my knot, and I came through and I put on 3 beads. I did my needle down through the back, then came up this 3rd bead here, and then you just continue to add a pair of beads all the way around. So I'm here, and so at this point, I'm going to be ready to add my shadow. This is a little shadow bead and a an 11-aught. Okay, so let me dump out. I've got a few sitting here. So, and the needle I used, you can use whatever you like, but I'm using the sharps, the size 10 sharps needles right here. And it's amazing that my needle is still sitting here from this project. And then I want to show you a couple of things. I'm going to do a few of the Picot, and then I'm going to show you something else here before we sign off for today. So let's go ahead and needle that thread rather than threading that needle. There we go. And so here, let me get, they've all kind of fallen in the cracks, so let's get those moved over. And I want to make sure that I've got, do your beads end up in piles? Because as you know, if you've been watching me for any length of time, you know that I am a piler. I always resist these little cups, so they like to pile. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to get a little closer here so you guys can see this. So I've got my 11-aught on. So what comes next in the pattern is a cut, is a little shadow cut brass, and then you pick up your 11-aught, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to just try and visualize how much room I need there, and I'm going to go needle front. It's maybe about 1/8 of an inch, and then needle to the back. Can you see where my needle is going? And just a tiny, you don't want to go into the ultra suede too far. The ultra suede is non-woven, so you won't have to worry about this stitch kind of coming out. So see here, those are stitched on. And so now to bring my needle into the correct position, I'll do it from the back so you can see it. See how this 11-aught's kind of sticking there? So I want to bring my needle up through that 11-aught, pull, pull the thread through without pulling it out of my needle. There we go. And can you see there's that Picot right in place there? Okay, so let's do it again. My needle, my thread's in the correct position. So I grab my little shadow, my 11-aught. You can also go front to back, so, or back to front. So if I do that, I stick my needle from the back into the front. I can see where that's going. I should have a thimble, but I don't. I have these little pins here on the edge of my, I'm going to move these off because my thread keeps getting caught in them. And then you can see I'll just come through. There's that Picot sitting perfectly right there. And then I'll go needle up. Okay, let's do it again. Somehow, really, somehow I got my thread around my iPhone cord. So let me just take the iPhone cord out and now put it back in. There you go. I don't know. It's the beauties of a live show here. There we are. Okay, so let's do one more, shall we? Let's get our little shadow, our 11-aught. We can go back to front or front to back, whatever works for you. And again, only that width that you're bringing the needle up. You're not bringing it too far down from the edge, and you're just doing that width from that 11-aught, the width of whatever the top of your Picot is. In this case, it's the little shadow. Okay, so I'm going to pull this through, and there we have it. And then complete the Picot by sending your needle up the 11-aught. Okay, so that's that. So I'll continue to go around with this Picot here. And then between the ultra suede, Cindy's asking, between the ultra suede when I glued it, that's the Aida cloth that I stitched this onto. And it gives it a little bit of stability here, you know, so it's not so floppy around. So it's a little stiffer. But again, if you don't have Aida, you could use a piece of felt or another piece of ultra suede or something. But I feel like to give it, especially if this is going to be a pendant, it needs a little stiffening, right? A little body to the piece. Now, as I'm looking at this piece and getting, you know, thinking about, oh, I'm going to be sending this to Janice and stuff, I also think, and I've already glued the back, right? So I can't add any more embellishment on the front that will show on the back, okay? So um, what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave this here and I'll get myself a new thread. And I don't have the patterns written out, but if you go to my bead embroidery, to the bead embroidery project that I did for that last live, I don't know, a month or two ago, whenever it was, it's in our archives. Great, easy to find on our YouTube, or if you just go to the project right on Bead Shop, it links to the video. You'll see how you'll have a nice close-up of just the patterns for those. So it's pretty easy just to kind of, you know, I kind of go off the cuff seriously and create the patterns. So let me, oh, these are regular beading needles. They're actually not sharps. Let me see if I'm going to take my sharp off of here. Though you could use regular beading needles too, but I'll use my needle. Let me get a new piece of thread. And I think I just want to make this look just slightly more encrusted. Whoops. And I have not utilized, I've used the Baroque pearls and stuff here. But I think I want to come up and I just maybe want to put a little something else around the sides here. So I think what I'm going to do is, I like the way that O bead looks, and I'm just going to simply use a stopper bead. I think I'll use, maybe I'll use the cube because I haven't used it yet. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to tie my knot, and I'm going to wrap a couple of times around my finger. I'm going to take a stitch under that and then tighten it up. Sorry, I've got to see. Sorry, I'm going to take it out of view here for a second while I do it so it's a little closer into my focal range, but take that stitch underneath and then tighten it up. Okay, and that'll give me a nice kind of a little bit of a fatter knot. Okay, and then let me cut away this extra with my sewing scissors that I happen to have sitting right here. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just needle up somewhere here and see if that's not quite the right place. I could also needle down. It might be easier for me to figure that out, so I'll do that there. And then this cloth, the Aida cloth, is a little, my fingers aren't gripping this needle as well as I'd like, so you can get a thimble to help you. But see, that knot just kind of sits there and it's going to be covered with beads, so I don't need to worry about it. So I'm actually going to embellish on the back of this and on the front. So I'm just going to get my O bead, and I want it to be kind of flat. I don't want it to be too dimensional if I'm going to put something on the back. But I feel like this corner, the corners of these need just a little something there. Okay, and so then I'll put my O bead on. I think I'm going to put the betrayal side and then the cube and then go down. Okay. And I can stitch back through a couple of times if I want through the beads, so it's nice and sturdy, so I can come back up through that O bead, stitch through the cube, back down. Then I'll show you how I knot it off. Up here, and I'll make these all independent, right? I don't want to carry my thread around my project because I could if I didn't have the backing on yet, but I already have this backing on. So I want it to look as neat as possible on the front and on the back. So here's my little, I'm going to go through here. I'm going to go through my O bead. It's getting nice, it's a nice firm connection here. I'm going to go through my O bead. And then, sorry, the light super changed outside. I don't know if you saw that on the video. Sorry, it's a little, let me turn this light on. All of a sudden it got super dark. Hang on a second. That might be a little bit better. Maybe I should have done that a while back, but that's better, I think. So I'm going to end this this knot on the back here. And so this is the ultra suede that I've been using here, the ultra suede front and back, and then the Ada cloth in between. So it's kind of hard to see because the ultra suede and the thread are the same. But see how the thread is coming up under that O bead, right? And then I come through and I'm just going to make a half hitch, so I kind of bring my thread around in a circle. And see how I've got two threads here, so I don't want to get back there, please. I bring my thread, I catch it under that O bead, and see here how it's just going to tighten up here. And then I'm going to go around the other way, and I'm going to tie another half hitch around this whole thing. And see how that thread is catching under the O bead like that. Okay, and then I'm going to do it one more time in the opposite direction, and that should do it. A nice, tight, firm knot. There we go. There we are, just like that. And then I'll clip that away. And so the O beads are not the Baroque pearls. The O beads look like this, though you could, right? And it's just like, that's right, like when you're sewing, when you're knotting off a button, right? When you sew a button on and you have to knot it off, it's the same thing. So there's the O bead and there's the Baroque pearl. Can you see that there? They're a different, I mean, they look kind of similar, but the Baroque is a tall, it's like a number 6 pearl, okay? So that does it. So then what I'll do is, I think I'll add these on all the corners, right? Like this here. I'll do one here, and maybe I'll do something a little bit different there at the bottom. Maybe I'll add, just to kind of anchor it, that little guy. So these are just they're called O beads. It's the check glass O bead, and it is the peridot vitrail mat. And again, it's right there on our website, right on beadshop.com. If you go right to the project, and I'll link it one more time, it's the bead embroidery page, and you just click on Folk Tales, which is the project that I'm doing here. Okay, so after that, what I'll do is I'll use some E6000. And I'm going to place some E6000 right on the inside of this crescent crimp, very carefully, not a whole lot of that. And I'm going to just slide it right on to the top of my piece like that. Let the E6000 do its thing by sitting 24 hours undisturbed. And then the piece will be ready to go to Janice to create some kind of necklace or something with it. I don't know what she's going to make, but it'll be all up to her. I'm going to send her the rest of these seed beads and stuff like that as well. So that's it. So that's the picot stitch. That's a little embellishing stitch on the corner. And then we will go ahead and use the E6000 to complete that. So I wanted to give you a sneak peek of Wednesday's project. Okay. And the Wednesday's project, I am revisiting. This is literally, I've not touched this board since last night when I was working on it. So I want to show you the project page will be up soon. Karen will have it up beginning of the week so you guys can see it before the broadcast. But this is our tapestry project. Okay, and I love tapestry. And again, the light in here, again, now it's sunny. It's dark, it's sunny. I can't, maybe it's a little bit easier to see over there. There we go. But the tapestry project, we use super duos. And as you know, we got some new super duos in. We got 6 new ones that we launched a couple of weeks ago. And kids, let me tell you, I picked the colors, so I love them. This one is the matte velvet dark teal. We have 5 other beautiful colors. And I'll just put some out in my hand. They're really gorgeous, 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 I think. Oh, and thanks. Someone commented, it reminds me of a K facet knit pattern. Yes, if you know me and you know my quilting style and my knitting style, I'm a big K facet fan. So thank you for that. I really love it. So you can see the tapestry project. We're going to be working on this next week. I'm going to show you how to loom using this. And let me go up here a little bit so you can see. I'm using our deep dish tray, our deep dish design board, so you don't need a loom for this. We're going to learn how to incorporate 2 whole beads into the piece. And then I'm also going to use a nice large ready-made clasp there. So we're going to talk about how we would glue something really securely, a piece of looming, a piece of bead weaving right into that clasp. You can go right to our tapestry projects. They're under bracelets on beadshop.com, and take a look. We've got quite a few nice ones there, but it includes 4mm fire polish. It includes a size 8 bead, of course, the little shadows. I was going to use size 6 metal beads, but it wasn't quite the right size. So of course I have little shadows in my house, so I substituted them. So we'll make that substitution. And then how to bead weave with these super duos. And I've got the matte, the teal, dark teal velvet matte, and I've got this Capri Gold, Crystal Capri Gold, which is also beautiful in the super duo. So it's about 2/3 of the way done. I need to kind of finish this up here. But yeah, the super duos I love. And if you haven't, you guys know that in my other life, I'm a metalsmith, right? I love working with metal and creating with metal, but beads are my first love. And seed beads, I wouldn't call myself a traditional seed beader, right? But I utilize them in a lot of different ways, but they're also great to stitch in. We've got some great super duo earring projects with them. It's a check glass bead, and it's very vintage, has a very vintage shape to it as well. So, so I'm digging them, and I think you guys will like this project. At least I hope you will. So that's what's coming up next week. Okay, so that's that story. On the next Friday, Janice and I will be doing The Bead Doctor is In. So you don't want to miss that. So if you do have any questions or things that you would like Janice and I to answer, you can send them in to info@beadshop.com right there. And the Bead Doctor will be in on Friday, next Friday, a week from today. Okay. Let me unsolo this and get myself back up there. There we go. I can see you right there. And also, you guys, I want you to remember to join me tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, and 4 o'clock Pacific for the Beadalon Designer Challenge, where you will see me and um, 24 other kind of designers, retailers, and bead influencers. We're going to open our box that we just received from Beadalon, and then we have 1 hour to create with it. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I think it's going to be really fun, though. So that's it. So thank you so much. I think Alfred will want to say, and you can vote. Millie was asking, can you vote, or is it not a competition? It actually, after the show and after we make everything, we take photos, and you'll be able to vote on the Beadalon page. And I think voting is over in a couple weeks or something. But don't you worry, Millie. We'll link it so you can see my piece. Don't you worry. Well, I think Alfred might want to say goodbye. So let's get Big Kitty back into the shot so everyone could say goodbye to Alfred T. Pickles. Okay, right there. There he is. I know. Say goodbye to, say goodnight, Alfred. There he goes. All right. Thank you again, you guys, as always, so much for joining me today on Free Tip Friday from home. And I will see you later on the Beadalon page for our designer competition. In the meantime, stay safe, wear those masks, wash those hands, hug your cats, and I'll see you soon. Thanks again, everybody. Alfred, push the stop button. Here, push, get the, you can't, come on. Are we done here? I think we're done.